we got a problem.
Today, we are announcing the RTX 3050.
First, I'm thinking to myself, more graphics cards, guys? Really? I want a 3070 for retail price.
Give me a 3070 for retail price.
And about 16 minutes in, I'm like, hold on.
Repeat that one more time for me, Jeff.
And modern games need much more GPU horsepower. The GTX 1050 struggles to keep up. Even a 1050 Ti or the more modern GTX 1650 can't power the latest games at 60 frames per second.
I see you guys stopped at the 1660 series. Is that because you guys know that's still a relatively decent card? Or maybe it's because you guys are gonna start peddling some GPUs whose materials should have been used to make those 3070s, 3080s, and 3090s that people have been waiting over a year for in a lottery system to get. My guess? Probably a little of both. And hey, maybe I'm just being sour, but the whole presentation felt out of touch and like you were implying that the 30 series cards are the only cards that you can use to play modern games at 60 frames per second. And I get the push for newer cards by manufacturers. I really do. But maybe this time I felt a little bit more sour because there's literally nothing on the shelves as you guys are releasing more cards. Well, we're going to see if Nvidia is lying to us or not by playing the exact games they put up on screen here on my 3-year-old Acer Helios 300 laptop. I'll get the frames per second numbers and break down my gameplay experience as well. Let's go. A quick specs breakdown for the laptop. This is the Acer Helios Predator 300. It's packed with a 1660 Ti GPU with 6 GB of graphics memory, a 16 GB of RAM, a Core i7-9750H CPU, and a 15.6-inch 1920 by 1080p 144 Hz refresh rate panel. And according to Amazon, this laptop was first available in November of 2019. And for the benchmarks, everything's at 1080p, and I just use the default settings. No tinkering. With that out of the way, let's jump right into the gameplay, starting off with Doom Eternal. As you can see, I averaged more than adequate frame rate and rarely ever broke under 100 frames per second. Overall, Doom played great, had absolutely no problems, even with the most hardcore settings. Next up, we have Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and here's where the system started to get pushed a little bit. Gameplay was absolutely amazing. I had no problems whatsoever with it. There was a little bit of stuttering, but we were able to manage 80 frames per second average. And again, the game is super pretty to look at. After that, I tried F1 2021. And aside from my lack of skills and experience with racing games, the game looked and played just fine on high settings. Averages were well above the 60 frames per second mark, getting closer to that 100 frames per second average. Next up, we have Control. Now this game is an absolute trip. This laptop handled it like an absolute boss again, averaging just around 100 frames per second at the settings I show on screen. Last up, we have Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Now this is the only game that I had frame rate drops below the original target of 60 frames per second, but the average for this game was still close to 100 frames per second, which is still way over the 60 frames per second target. Haven't played zombies in a while, but the gameplay experience was absolutely fine. No stutters, no skips, worked just great. So what does this mean? Why am I making this video? And did Nvidia lie to us by telling us that we can't play modern games at 60 frames per second on relatively modern cards? Well, like most things, maybe. Yeah, probably. Listen, there's always going to be a push for new hardware, especially by the people who make it. Take, for example, the new 3050 that they're talking about. Let's compare the averages to the graph that they put up on screen to the graph that I made. As you can see, it really isn't that much better than the old and outdated 1660 Ti. And for casual gamers like myself, I'm totally fine with running some older hardware as long as I can experience the game like it was meant to be played. And ray tracing, I have yet to hear one casual gamer, or any gamer for that matter, tell me that they're refusing to play a game because of the lack of ray tracing support. But I will tell you, I have seen tons of gamers, possibly thousands of gamers, refuse to play games because they simply cannot upgrade their hardware because there's no graphics cards in stock anywhere. Maybe instead of making graphics cards with these incremental upgrades, we should prioritize putting graphics cards in the hands of people that have already been waiting for them for over a year. That's absolutely insane. That's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too ranty for you, but you know, sometimes it gets like that. I'll leave a couple videos here for you guys to watch if you guys want to check out some more of my content, and I'll see you in the next one.